A very happy morning, my dear student friends. Once again, I welcome you all to this YouTube class. In our previous class, we have discussed about introduction and what are the sources of data. Let me throw light on the concepts whichever we have discussed in our previous class. So in that introductory concept, we have understood that why we need to collect the data. So after seeing that concept, we have understood that to see or to show the evidence for reaching a sound and clear solution to a problem means here the data which helps us to understand the problem and we can make a clear and sound solution to that problem. For that reason, we have to collect the data. So to make you understand, I have given one example, that is, according to census document, Indian population in 2001 was 102 crores and in 2011 it was 121 crores. Hope you are saying that our population is increased. How do you say it? Yes, absolutely, on the basis of numerical figures. Yes, here in this statement they have used numerical figures, no, like 102 crores and 121 crores. Yes, our population was in 2001 to 102 crores, in 2011 rose to 121 crores. So by seeing these data, we can easily see that our population has increased. So this is what the beauty of that data. For this reason only we have to collect the data. Without data, we cannot say or we cannot able to understand what kind of problem is that, and we cannot able to make sound and clear solution to that problem. For that reason, we have to collect the data. Thereafter, we have seen the sources of data. So we have understood the reason or the purpose of collection of data. Thereafter, where we have to or where we will get these data, or from which sources we get these data. Okay, there are two kinds of sources of data, such as primary data and secondary data. In our previous class, we have defined what is primary data. Primary data is nothing but it is the data which collected by the enumerator by conducting an inquiry or investigation. Such kind of data are called, such kinds of data are called primary data. Means here the data which collects by the investigator by the through the inquiry or the investigation, or we can say that survey method. So that kind of data are called primary data. Okay, these kind of data we can collect through the various kinds of methods like personal interview method, telephone interview method, and one more, that is mailing questionnaire method. Thereafter, we have seen the drawbacks of this primary data collection. It expects more time and it is too expensive and it need expert or trained enumerators. Yes, since we have to go at that place where our respondent is resides, or where our respondent avails, no. So here we have used certain terms like enumerator, questionnaire, kind of, no. So let us understand to whom we have to call, or to whom we are calling here as enumerators. Enumerators nothing but persons who collect the data, or enumerator means a person who collects the data. That person is called enumerator, or we can call him as investigator. Thereafter, secondary data. The data have been collected and processed by some other agencies or person. Such kind of data are called secondary data. It means data which already collected and processed by some other persons. No, such kind of data are called secondary data. It means those data are not collected by the same person who is studying, who is working. Okay, such kind of data are called secondary data. It means the data which are already collected by some other persons or some other institutions or some other agencies. Okay, so which data using by that worker, no, or that researcher, no, means that researcher is not collected those data, the data which already collected by the somebody else and processed by somebody else. Such kind of data are called secondary data. We can give example to that secondary data. It means the sources of that data, that secondary data are published sources like government documents, newspapers, books which written by the economists, journals, thesis or dissertation of scholars, a website. Means through these kinds of sources we can get the secondary data. Examples are census document and NSSO reports. So through these kinds of documents we can get the data, and we can call these data as secondary data. Why we should call these data as secondary data? Yes, you are right. These data already collected by somebody else. That's why we have to call these data as secondary data. Yes, let us get into the next concept, that is how do we collect the data. In this concept we learn how we can collect the data. Generally we collect the data by using a survey method. In that survey method we use questionnaire or interview schedule. So let us understand what is survey method. Survey method means it's a method where observations are obtained from the population. So this is what a survey method. I repeat, survey method is nothing but it is a method where observations are obtained from the population. So here I have used two terms like observations and population. So if we understood these two terms, then we can easily understand what is survey method. Observations is nothing but it is the information or the data. Okay, whatever the information we get from the respondents, no, that is nothing but observations. Like population, so generally population means we talk about the demography. It means we understand about demography, but in statistics we have its own meaning to that population. Population means all the observations, population means all the individuals or units from whom information has to collect. So that individuals or units are called population. I repeat, population means all the individuals or all the units from whom information has to collect. That individuals are called population. So let me give one example to this population, then you can easily understand. For example, in first year PUC A section, there are 40 boys and 40 girls are studying in the first year class. There are total 80 students. Suppose if I am studying a favorite color of first year PUC A section students, at that time my population will be 80, because there are 80 students are studying in that first year PUC A section. So how many students are in that A section? No, that and all the students are my
population, because I have to take the information of each and every students. No, that's why that entire 80 students are my population. Or if I studying only the favorite color of boys, then my population will be changed. Okay, not 80. There in that section we have total 40 boys. No, then my population will be 40, because I am studying the favorite color of boys students who are studying in PUC first year A section. So this is what population. Population means the total of individuals, a total of units from which we are collecting information. For that they have defined this population as population is nothing but it is all the individuals or the units from whom information has to collect. So that is nothing but population. Okay, so hope you have understood what is survey method. Survey method means the method where we collect the information from the population. Population means the individuals with whom we are conducting that study. No, so we have understood here we can collect the data by conducting a survey method or by using that survey method. So in that survey method we collect the data through the questionnaire or interview schedule. So let us understand how to draft or how to form that questionnaire. Yes, let us discuss what kind of points which we have to remember while preparing the questionnaire. Yes, there are about 8 kinds of points which we have to remember while preparing that questionnaire. The questionnaire should not be too long. So it means whatever the questions we put in that questionnaire, no, the number of the questions or number of those questions should be less. It should not be more. If it is more, at the time that respondent may deny to answer all the questions. That's why that questionnaire should contain less number of questions. This is first point. Thereafter, the second, the series of questions should be moved from general to specific. It means the order of the questions, whichever the question we use in that questionnaire, no, the order of that question should be moved from general to specific. It means in the beginning of that questionnaire we should put a certain general questions, means which are partially related to that study aspect or study subject. At the end we have to put some questions which are specific or which are completely based on the study subject. So to make you understand, we have put some examples in that textbook, like is increase in electricity charges justified? That is the first question. Thereafter, is the electricity supply in your locality regular? So here the order of the question which is not suitable. Before asking the regularity of the electricity supply, if we ask, I think here they have asked increase in electricity charges justified. So this is not right way to ask the question. So first we have to ask whether that electricity supply is regular or not. Thereafter we have to ask increase in electricity charges justified. Okay, to make or we can ask this kind of question in another manner as, is the electricity supply in your locality regular? After that, is increase in electricity charges justified? So this is the right way of asking a question, or it is the right order of asking question. So this is what the second point means. The order of the question should be moved from general to specific. Thereafter, the question should be precise and clear. The whatever the questions we use in that questionnaire, no, that are those should be precise and clear. So those should not be too long. Whatever the questions we use in that questionnaire, no, that should not be too long. So if it is too long, what happens? That respondent may get confused, or he may not able to understand. Okay, there is a chance to not able to understand that kind of question. That's why that question should be precise and clear. To make you understand, they have used one example, or they have given one example in your text as what percentage of your income do you spend on clothing in order to look presentable? So this is the question. If we see the question, it is too long, so here there may be a chance to confuse, or there may be a chance to misunderstanding this question. Okay, the same question we can ask in clear and precise manner as, what percentage of your income do you spend on clothing? See how much precise it is and how much clear it is. So if we frame like, we can get answer to this question from the respondent. Okay, that's why when preparing the questionnaire, that the questions which we use, no, those questions should be precise and clear. Thereafter, fourth, the question should not be ambiguous. It means that questionnaire should not be vague, or that questions should not be unclear. Okay, that those questions should be clear. Means once that respondent listen the question, so at the time he can easily, or he can quickly and correctly answer to that question. That's why the questions should be free from the ambiguous. Means should be those questions should be clear. Okay, to make you understand, they have given one example in your text, like, do you spend a lot of money on books in a month? So if we ask this kind of question to any respondent, so then he may give unclear, or he may take time to answer this kind of question. The same kind of question we can ask in another manner by giving choices. Okay, yes, like we can ask, how much do you spend on books in a month? Option 1, less than rupees 200, between rupees 200 to 300, between rupees 300 to 400, or more than rupees 400. So if we have given this kind of choices, then he can easily choose any one among them. So here he can easily answer to that kind of question, or this kind of question. So that's why when we prepare the questionnaire, no, at that time questions should be clear, or once that respondent listen the question, no, he can easily, it means he can freely, or he can easily, or he can quickly answer to those kinds of questions. That's why questions should be free from the ambiguous. Okay, so this is what questions should not use should not be ambiguous. Thereafter, fifth point, that is, the questions should not use double negatives. See, when we prepare the questionnaire, no, at that time we should not use certain terms. Okay, those may lead at that time that the respondent may avoid to answer certain questions, or he may give certain biased answers. That's why are the biased responses. That's why we have to avoid certain double negative questions, like using that would not you or don't you kind of terms. If we use those kinds of terms, we may get a chance of, or there may be a chance of getting biased responses. That's why we have to avoid these kinds of questions. So here to make you understand, they have framed one question like, don't you think smoking should be prohibited? So this is not right way to ask the question. So we can ask the same question in another manner, like, do you think smoking should be prohibited? So then that respondent may give right answer to this question. Okay, that's why avoid the double negative questions. Like, sixth point, the questions should not be a leading question. See here, the question should not be a leading question. Means here that question should not give clue to the respondent how to answer. Okay, that's why the questions should be free from that leading question. That it means that should not give. It means that question should not give clue to that respondent how to answer. That's why we have to frame that kind of question where which should be free from the giving a clue to that respondent. Okay, to make you understand, they have given one example in your text, that is, how do you like the flavor of this high quality tea? So here in this question we have used high quality tea, no? So since that respondent may give response as high quality, means from the flavor of that tea is high quality, means that question only saying the answer of that question. That's why that question should not be a leading question. We can ask the same question in another manner, like how do you like the flavor of this tea? So at the time he may say high quality or low quality or moderate quality. Yes, this is what we have to remember, or this is what we have to consider while preparing the questionnaire. Yes, that question should not indicate alternative to answers, means that question should not get more than one answer. Okay, so that question should get only one answer. It means from that, by asking that question we should get only one answer. Okay, so the kind of questions we have to frame in that questionnaire. To make you understand, they have given one example: would you like to do a job after college or be a housewife? If we ask this kind of question at that time, we may get two answers, like some are wish to do that job, some are wish to be a housewife, but we need here one answer, no? That's why we have to frame the questions like, would you like to do a job? If possible, at the time we will get only one answer as yes or no. That's why the questions should be like, those should be get only one answer. Those should not indicate alternative to the answers. Okay, so this is the next point which we have to consider while preparing the questionnaire. Like the questions should be closed-ended questions. Yes, thereafter we have mode of data collection kind of concept. So here we learn from which kind of sources, or sorry, from which kind of modes, which kind of tools we can collect the data. Okay, there are three kinds of modes, or there are three kinds of ways. Through those kinds of ways we can collect the data, such as personal interview, telephone interview, mailing, questionnaire. So these are three kinds of ways. From these kinds of ways we can collect the data. Okay, so let us go one by one. Personal interview means where the researcher conducts a face-to-face interview with the respondents. That kind of interview are called personal interview. Personal interview means where the researcher or that enumerator or that investigator conducts a face-to-face interview with the respondents. So that kind of interview is called personal interview. Okay, the method uses when researcher can access to all the respondents. The personal interview kind of the method which we use, or generally we use where that researcher can, or that interviewer can, or that enumerator can access all the respondents, means where that respondents can easily get to know. At that time we use this personal interview kind of method. This personal interview kind of method which are having which has certain merits. It means from this kind of if we adapt, if we use this kind of personal interview kind of method, so we can get advantage. Those advantages are misinterpretation and misunderstanding can be avoided. So once we use this kind of personal interview kind of method, so we can avoid the misinterpretation and misunderstanding of the questions. Okay, why we can able to avoid the interpretation and misunderstanding the question? Because here we are conducting this kind of interview face to face, no? That's why we can avoid the misinterpretation or misunderstanding the question. So this is one superiority or the advantage of this personal interview. Like second merit or advantage of this personal interview is, here researcher can ask open-ended questions. Okay, open-ended questions means where we can get
essay type answers to the questions. Means we can get the opinions from, of the respondents. Okay, so there is no any hard and fast rule to answer the questions in a term or in a sentence. So there we can get the what we call it answers in a long script. So in that personal interview we can get that kind of answers or that kind of we can form that kind of questions. Those are open-ended questions. This personal interview kind of which enables us to that researcher can get or that can frame open-ended questions or he can ask open-ended questions. This is one of the advantages of that personal interview. Like third, researcher can see facial expressions of respondents. So in this personal interview, that investigator or that enumerator or that researcher can see the facial expressions of that respondents. Why? Because here that personal interview which is conducting face to face with that respondent and that researcher. No, that's why he can see the expressions of that respondents. Like fourth, researcher can get more authentic information. Since this kind of interview he is conducting face to face, no, that's why he can get more authentic information from that respondent. Okay, like fifth, chance of high response rate. Chance of high response rate means here that researcher can get answer to all the questions. Whatever the questions he asked in that interview, since that researcher is conducting a face-to-face interview with that respondent, no, that at that time due to that he can get answer to all the questions. Or here that is researcher can get a chance to clarify the question. So due to that he can get answer to all the questions. So these are the certain superiorities of that personal interview. Like this personal interview has its own kind of demerits or disadvantages, such as it expects more time and cost. In that personal interview, it expects more time and cost because here we have to conduct that interview face to face with that respondents. No, that's why here that researcher has to go at there where he is study unit or that individual who resides. It means here that researcher has to go at that place where that respondent resides. Okay, and he to travel there he need to or he has to expend. No, that's why it expects time and cost. Like second, it requires trained interviewers or the enumerators. In this personal interview, since this kind of interview conducts a face-to-face interview, no, that's why it requires or it expects trained interviewer or the enumerators. Okay, like third, presence of researcher may be inhibit respondents from saying what they really think. Means presence of that researcher also may discourage to answer to certain questions.
Yes, second sort of mode of data collection is mailing questionnaires. When the data in a survey are collected by mail, that method is called mailing questionnaire. I repeat, when the data in a survey are collected by mail, that kind of method is called mailing questionnaire. So in this kind of method, we collect the information from the mail. So that kind of method is called mailing questionnaire. The method uses when researcher cannot access to all the respondents. Means this kind of method we use when the researcher or that interviewer or that investigator can't able to meet the respondents. At that time that interviewer can choose this kind of method. Here researcher can ask a respondent to complete and return it by a given date. So here this mailing questionnaire also has its own
merits means advantages, like it is less expensive. Since we are dealing this kind of survey through the mail, no, that's why here we will get less expensive. It means less expense. It means here that that researcher or that investigator need not to go at there where his or she's respondents reside. He can meet or he can access that respondent through the mail, no, that's why here we can get less expenses. And second, it allows the researcher to access to people in a remote area too. Yes, here we are dealing this kind of survey through the mail, no, that's why here the researcher can access the people who are residing in a remote area also. It means where we cannot go by bus or any travel facility. So there also that researcher can access the people or that respondent. And third, it permits the respondents to take sufficient time to give answers. So since we are dealing this kind of survey through the mail, no, so here the respondents can get sufficient time to answer the questions. Here we are not collecting the information by the face-to-face interview, no, that's why here that the respondent can take his own time to answer the questions.